Every time you crack your niggers, you might be damaging your hands without even realizing it. Or at least that's what you were probably told as a child. But what if one of the most common warnings about your body is completely wrong? That loud pop sounds like something is breaking inside your fingers, and for decades people have believed that repeatedly cracking their knuckles would eventually give them arthritis. But scientists have actually investigated this, and what they discovered is much stranger than you might expect. When you pull or bend a finger until it cracks, you're not simply making your bones collide or snap apart. Inside your joints is a slippery substance called synovial fluid, which helps the surfaces move smoothly against each other. When the joint is suddenly stretched, the pressure inside changes dramatically, and a cavity forms within the fluid. In 2015, researchers used real-time MRI to watch this process happening inside the knuckle as it cracked. They observed a rapid cavity forming at the exact moment the joint separated and produced the characteristic sound. So that terrifying crack you hear isn't necessarily the sound of your bones being damaged. It's a physical event happening inside the joint. But now comes the question everyone actually cares about. Does doing this over and over eventually cause arthritis? In 2011, researchers studied 215 people between the ages of 50 and 89, comparing people who regularly cracked their knuckles with those who didn't. They looked at X-rays and examined how often and for how many years participants had cracked their joints. The result? The prevalence of osteoarthritis was similar between the two groups, and even the total number of years and frequency of knuckle cracking weren't significantly associated with arthritis in the joints examined. And it gets even more interesting. A 2018 review of the scientific literature looked at the evidence surrounding knuckle cracking and its possible effects on joints. The authors found that the observational studies available had generally failed to demonstrate an association between habitual knuckle cracking and osteoarthritis. So the classic warning that cracking your knuckles will inevitably give you arthritis simply isn't supported by the evidence we currently have. But that doesn't mean your hands are completely invincible. There are reports and smaller studies looking at other possible effects of habitual cracking, and the evidence for these is much weaker than the evidence concerning arthritis. More importantly, there's a huge difference between casually cracking a joint and aggressively forcing it beyond a comfortable range of motion. If a joint hurts, becomes swollen, locks, or you feel like you have to force it to produce a crack, that's not something you should simply ignore. And there's another bizarre detail. After you crack a knuckle, you usually can't immediately produce the same crack again. Your joint needs time before it can return to the conditions that allow another cracking event. Scientists have been studying this phenomenon for decades, and even the exact physics behind the sound has been debated. The important point is that the crack is not simply your skeleton screaming for help. It's a complicated interaction between joint movement, pressure, fluid, and cavitation. So, does cracking your knuckles cause arthritis? Based on the available research, habitual knuckle cracking does not appear to increase your risk of hand osteoarthritis, which means that the sound you've probably been told is destroying your hands may actually be one of the most misunderstood sounds your body can make. Your bones aren't necessarily breaking. Your joints aren't being slowly destroyed with every pop. And that satisfying crack may be far less dangerous than it sounds. But next time you crack your knuckles, remember this. You're not hearing your bones break. You're hearing physics happen inside your body.